Pronto, Vincenza.
Oh, pronto, Randy. And welcome everyone to our 34th episode of our Pronto podcast, which is our lifestyle podcast, where we are excited to talk about all the beautiful things life has to offer, whether it be fashion, self-care, goals, motivation, inspiration, business, you name it. We talk about it all here on our Pronto podcast. Randy, how have you been?
I'm so happy to be back.
I know. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah. Welcome back to our production team, everybody that's here making Pronto a success. We are so excited to jump back into the season. Obviously, we've been very busy. We're nonstop. We talk about it all the time. Randy and I talk about it all the time. We are always nonstop. We are entrepreneurs, right? And what's the beauty of an entrepreneur, Randy?
Well, the beauty is like 1 o'clock today, 5,000 boxes came in.
Oh my
gosh.
And
I had to help unload them.
1 o'clock today. Wait, right before getting into production for podcast.
So
oh my
I was
gosh.
Dressed up and we had no one. We called a guy that usually helps us and he was away and I ended up moving 5,000 boxes with Crystal's help.
There you go. Thank you, Crystal, right? A shout out to Crystal. Well, that's the beauty of entrepreneurship that we talk about all the time, behind the scenes that, work that no one ever sees. And that's okay. That's okay.
We do the jobs that no one wants to do.
No, exactly. We don't. I say it all the time, especially in the restaurant industry. I am not afraid to roll up my sleeves and wash the dishes, clean the bathrooms, whatever I need to do, mop, sweep. You name it. We do whatever we need to do to get the job done, but also we lead by example. And I think that's what's most important. Leading by example.
Sometimes it's hard.
And listen, if it were hard, everyone would be doing it. Remember? We say that all the time. If it were hard, everyone would be doing it. But we do it because we have a passion for our respective, obviously, businesses, but, and what we're doing and the beauty of entrepreneurship. So we love it. It's all good. But I have exciting news.
What?
Speaking of the business, I am very honored and excited and thrilled to announce that V&M Bistro will be 10 years
Congratulations.
in October, which is like next month. Very, very excited. 10 years. And we are celebrating in style. Yes, there's that beautiful flyer. Studio 54 inspired attire. V&M Bistro celebrates 10 years on Thursday, October 17th. We are selling tickets. You can visit the Facebook event page. You can visit, obviously, if you go to any of our social media, we're promoting the 10-year anniversary. We are selling tickets and there is a limited supply. So just to make note of, we are selling tickets, limited supply, but super excited to celebrate with the community, celebrate with our guests, celebrate with our team, because, it takes a village. Yeah. So very, very excited to celebrate with everyone that can make it out on that day, Thursday, October 17th. Really excited to mention that we've hired, since it's a Studio 54 inspired themed party, disco balls, disco music. We've hired the #1 disco style DJ in New York. You got to do it right. I mean, think about it. The disco era was hot in New York, especially Brooklyn, New York, in the city. So I happen to know a few people, but a shout out to my aunt, Bernadette, from Brooklyn, New York. She's very, very good friends with DJ Anthony Marcelli. He is the #1 disco style DJ. And if you're going to have a disco style party, go to the best, right? Go to the best. I happen to know somebody. So I was very excited. He will be joining us that night and we will be dancing the night away, disco themed.
Unfortunately, Puffy Combs won't make it. Right?
No. Nope, he will not. So he will not, but that's all right. But we will be celebrating in style, at V&M Bistro. Check us out. Go to Facebook page. We do have an Eventbrite page where we are selling tickets, and we are very excited for that. Another night that I love to celebrate, love to introduce. We just started doing this, a late night happy hour at V&M Bistro, and it's called Lo-Fi Night. So it's more of take on low key house vibes. It's not a DJ dance party. We do have a DJ. His name is DJ Alex Sack, and he's a dear friend of mine who happens to be the music director for the Miss Delaware USA and Miss Delaware Teen USA productions. So he has been on my team for 4 years for the pageant production itself every year. And he happens to be a DJ as well. And he's joined us and joined forces and coming every Friday night from 8 to 10, late night happy hour. And we're just having low key house vibes where you just want to come for maybe a nightcap, a drink, or your best pre-gaming spot before you hit the hit the night out in the town, and you hit the you want to just have just a quick drink or a nice meal. Stop by V&M Bistro every Friday. We're doing lo-fi night. Come check us out. Really excited for that. You have to come, Randy.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. Alex's girlfriend used to work for me, a makeup artist. Nicole.
Yes, Nicole. Yes, sweet girl. Yeah. Yep. She joined us on our first lo-fi night. We're really excited about it. But come check us out. Yeah. My sister is just the master mixologist behind the bar, introducing all these incredible drinks and cocktails. She has the toasted marshmallow espresso martini. So if you are an espresso martini drinker, you have to try the toasted marshmallow espresso martini. It's out of this world. Perfect for the fall season, especially. But she has just a variety of cocktails. She's handcrafted. And we are offering, throughout the week, but we have an exclusive drink menu for lo-fi night. So if you want the exclusive drink menu that she's offering, these handcrafted cocktails, come check us out. Just visit vmbistro.com to locate us, or just go to all of our social media platforms at vmbistro and check us out.
Yeah, really I saw pictures on Instagram, and she's an artist. Like the drinks
she's
beautiful.
Actually, she's a scientist. She's in the lab cooking up some drinks. She's just see her whole setup. I call her a mastermind scientist working up these cocktails, and it's really cool. And I have the very difficult job of testing them all. It's actually quite complicated and difficult sometimes, because after you test like 4 or 5, you're drunk. So you have to stop. And I am not a big drinker, and I have a low tolerance. So I literally have to sip, but she's very good at what she does. And I admire that. And I respect her passion. And we always joke, my sister and we always joke, she makes it, I market it. And that's how this works. V&M Bistro. Come check us out. But anyway, super excited to just kind of shift gears and talk about, before we talk about our guests, and talk about the pageant. I know I mentioned earlier, Alex Sack, DJ Alex Sack is our music director for the Miss Delaware USA, Miss Delaware Teen USA pageant. But I'm really excited to share with everyone that we announced the date for the 2025 Miss Delaware USA and Miss Delaware Teen USA pageant. Mark your calendar, Randy.
Yeah.
March 30th, 2025.
Better, because
it's not your birthday weekend. I know. It's not your birthday weekend. I was, Easter is the way it's set up on the calendar. It's a little bit later in April. So I had to go before the holiday, and I didn't want to mess with the holiday season. And then spring break and everyone goes away around that time. So March 30th, 2025, the Miss Delaware USA and Miss Delaware Teen USA pageant. We are accepting applications. You can visit MissDelawareUSA.com. Check out all of our social media platforms, but apply today. Very excited to start your journeys. Join the sisterhood for the 2025 season.
I can't believe how fast it goes.
Like, oh, yes.
Like, I feel like we just had Miss Teenage and Miss Delaware.
Yes. Miss Delaware USA, Miss Delaware Teen USA. It goes really quick, but you know what that's what it's all about. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Yep. And we love to have fun, and the girls do such an incredible job. A shout out to Alyssa Bainbridge, Miss Delaware USA 2024, and Kayla Kozmolski, Miss Delaware Teen USA 2024. Even though they competed in the national competition in August, their job is not done yet. They've been making appearances out in the community while continuing on with their everyday lives, school, work, you name it. But they're just thriving right now. And I'm so proud of them. So proud of both of them. Check out their journeys. Visit their social media platforms at Miss DEUSA for Alyssa and at Miss DE Teen USA for Kayla, and check out their journey, because they're still thriving and working hard, making appearances. They have a lot of parades coming up. I think it's like parade season in October. There's so many. I can't even keep up with it, but they're they're just conquering the world. I'm so proud of them. So proud of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually, did you see the People magazine article?
Yeah.
Of for
Yeah.
Kayla?
It's spectacular.
Oh gosh. I mean, Kayla Kosmolsky was featured in People magazine. Yes, I said it. People magazine. So if you go to peoplemagazine.com, I think it's people.com or peoplemagazine.com, there's a beautiful feature of Kayla, Miss Delaware Teen USA 2024. They highlighted so many wonderful things about her journey, her accomplishments, how inspiring her story is, and what she continues to do for the Down syndrome community and individuals with disabilities. I mean, just truly inspiring. And I was really thankful that they featured featured her and her story, and, the fact that she won Miss Congeniality, which is significant at Miss Teen USA, voted amongst all of her pageant sisters. I mean, that was just an honor in itself. And she continues to just break those barriers down. So proud of her. And again, just Alyssa, I'm mentioning Melissa. She's a traffic reporter.
Right.
Just doing some amazing things. Shout out to both of them.
Yeah.
Really.
Hard work and dedication gets you what you want, right?
Exactly. And never giving up and persevering.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's shift the gears now, because now it's time to introduce our guest. Sara North is a New England native who often dreams of Paris. While books held her heart first, Sara's training included writing and story development for both film and television scripts, and fueled her desire to create with heart. With a passion to cheer on creatives and writers across art forms and industries, Sara recognizes the power of stories to bring healing, hope, and happiness. When she's not writing books to build a dream on, her loves include 90s rom-coms, old Hollywood films, Hallmark Christmas movies, beloved sitcoms, music to match her mood, cafe hopping, baking, eating chocolate, and celebrating all things fall. It is our honor to introduce Sara North. Hi, Sara.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me. So excited.
Oh, it was our absolute pleasure. Welcome to our Pronto podcast. And we are just so excited to share your story, share who you are. And, I know that from what I've learned that you have a special connection to Randy, which I think is so great. We should share that with our viewers and listeners. So tell us, how did you go from, I guess, working at the front desk? Is that right, Randy? Front desk
coordinator.
There you go. Coordinator.
2014.
Okay, to screenwriting. So tell us a little bit about that, the history and the transition, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. So it is so good to see you again, Randy. Thank you so much. It's just a gift to reconnect today. I'm so grateful for my time at Curry. It came during a season where I had actually moved back. There's a photo. It came during a season when I had actually moved to be closer to my mother, who was having some health issues at the time. And so during that season when I was at Curry, it just felt like a time where I needed to kind of dream again, or keep dreaming. And I had kept seeing writing's kind of been this thing that I have loved, and books and movies and film my whole life. And I kept seeing it in film. And I was like, okay, I need to learn how to do this, because I'm just kind of the type of person, like, if I don't know, I want to find out and have the tools available to me to do the things that I have in my heart to do. So I ended up going to get my MFA in writing for stage and screen. And that was where we wrote stage plays, screenplays, but I got introduced to television scripts and very much fell in love right from the start. I was writing television dramas, ended up meeting someone and having a mentor who worked with Aaron Spelling. Her name is Jen Grisanti. She's incredible, and kind of took me in to kind of learn story development and in film and television. And so I ended up moving to LA and that was just an incredible journey. Hard when you're following things and getting into new industries and trying to figure all that out. But it was really valuable for me. And so I was out there and started working actually with writers, got to be assisting in what at the time was NBC's writing program, got to be on a lot of the lots, ended up working on The Voice in production for a while.
Oh, that's
and yeah, so it was just a very exciting time, but also really challenging. And I remember I was there during COVID, actually. And so very challenging time. And I kept feeling the pull to come back east, which to me didn't quite make sense. I was just kind of like, how does this work if I am seeing traction on the things that I was trying to pursue and following my dreams, but really just couldn't deny it. And so I ended up moving back east, and really the work has been to keep my heart soft and to not become a jaded creative. That was kind of like the thing in my heart to do. And during COVID, I had kind of returned to reading hundreds of books and just doing all the things. And so I had this passion for screenwriting and television writing, but also books. And I had written a book like years ago, and it was fantasy, and I never did anything with it. And then I ended up writing a poetry book. And so still had this kind of idea, and I ended up having this rom-com idea. And for me, that was kind of strange because I was writing television dramas and working with, all these things. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. But all I can say is there was this grit and determination to just finish the book and to kind of get it out in the world. I was like, I didn't want to wait. We can't often like control outcomes, but we can control kind of who we are in the process and what that looks like. And so I just decided, I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to publish. I don't know anything about this, but we're going to do it and get it out in the world. And so I did. And that was my first book last fall, and then another one earlier this year. So I am just on this journey. Yes. That is still from when I first got my copy and saw it in print from Amazon. So it was just a huge joy and relief and all of the things to have that. So that's kind of the journey. And so I work in marketing and creative agency and production for kind of all of my day job, or most of the time. And then I also still work with writers on their television and film scripts and story development. And then I am now an author and still working on that too. So
yes, and that's such an accomplishment that, hats off to you, Sarah, for, having a dream, having a goal, and then persevering. We talked about that earlier in our opening banter, Randy and I, about how, we admire those who persevere and follow their dreams. Remember, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So you continue to persevere and follow your dreams, which is definitely an inspiration. You set a goal, and we all know it. Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but if LA is hard.
Yes.
The industry is harder. And, it's very intimidating. It's very challenging. And, you have to persevere to achieve your personal goals and dreams. And you're doing that. And again, hats off to you and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Of your books. You're an author, screenwriter, you're a storyteller, which we can see your passion. Just by, from what you have just shared with us, we see your passion in telling stories. But I really want to just note something. Tell us about The Voice. That must have been a experience. You said you were on the production team for The Voice.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so glamorous. I worked with a lot of the contestants and behind the scenes, and it was wonderful. And it's just, anytime you get to be on a lot, there's nothing like it to me, especially if you love stories and films. So I was on the lot in Universal Studio City. And so it's pretty incredible. There's some of just behind the scenes where you see all of these pieces that you've seen from movies, iconic movies and television shows. And you get to be around and know where Jimmy Stewart was and all of these different, just iconic television and film stories that were told, and you get to kind of walk around it. And so there were just, there's things about LA that you can't really experience, I feel like, elsewhere, but some of my favorite places in the world are still on the set. But it was very exciting, and to meet those people there who had these big dreams and were trying to pursue them and kind of leave everything. And we ended up having great dialogue just as we were talking with some of the contestants about what it means to be a creative and what does that look like, and what do you do when your dreams kind of change or shift, and if they didn't, depending on the outcomes for the show.
Oh, that's again another experience, playing a different role, seeing a different perspective and something you learn. I love production. I love live production myself.
Me too.
I have again a level of respect to the team behind the scenes that make it possible. That's why I always give a shout out to our Pronto production team, because without them, we wouldn't shine, and our guests wouldn't be able to shine. So the production team is just a vital component of what goes into telling the story, the television show, the sitcom, whatever it may be. And, that's a cool experience that you were able to play that role. So let's go back to your more recent novels.
Yes.
I love the name of the one. I love a good challenge.
Thank you.
You know me. I say that line often. I know, I don't know. I didn't read the story. I don't know what it's about. But I say that line all the time. I love a good challenge because life faces me with challenges on a daily basis. And I always have said this for the longest time. That's okay. I love a good challenge. Bring it on. And I was immediately drawn to the story, but I did not obviously read the book. So tell us a little bit about, what is it about?
Okay, so I Love a Good Challenge. It is the second in the series that I've written, called Love in Birchboro. It is kind of has those old classic 90s rom-com vibes. And what I mean by that is it's something that I think was so brilliant in some of those films, like You've Got Mail or While You're Sleeping or all of these things, is that you have you have these moments where they're fun and bantery and lighthearted, but then you also have these moments that there's one scene in You've Got Mail where Kathleen Kelly says that she misses her mom so much she can hardly breathe. And it's like these balances of tying humor and heart into books. And so that's kind of like setting the stage. There's some Gilmore Girl vibes because it is a New England small town, just all the things. And I often say my life is a sitcom. So I feel like in all these like movies, films, books, it's gonna kind of play a part and come together. But I Love a Good Challenge specifically. They are the best friends of, it's Lily and Graham, and they're the best friends of Sparrow and Rafe, who are in I Love You in French. It has kind of that best man, maid of honor energy. Yeah. And I often tell writers that usually we say, like, what is a book about? And we want to tell all of the plot points, but really it's like, what is the book about in terms of feelings and emotions and kind of all of those things to really summarize it. And so it is a second chance romance. It is really about pushing through when you have regret and when you've made mistakes. And it is my love letter to spring. So each one is kind of set in a season. And what I'll say about it too is that I've kind of written books that I felt like I needed in different times of my life. And these two would be most recent, but it really is about that steady kind of love, the kind that kind of has that grit and that tenacity to keep going and to weather the storm. So that is I Love a Good Challenge. The title is because they end up bantering the characters in the beginning, and the lead character Graham says, I love a good challenge. And it's kind of their thing. And then they go through a series of challenges through the wedding and all of those things to kind of get to the other side of it and see who's going to win.
It does remind me of a good Hallmark movie. I don't know. I know that you love Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
I never got into the Hallmark movies until my mom started really getting into them. And she's like, watch this movie. And I was hooked, especially around the holidays. I was like, oh my God.
Next level.
The next level. How did I get this? But it's just so joyous and so happy. And you're like, I just want to watch happiness because it's a feel good movie. And sometimes you just need that when the chaos around your real life, or the real world and your real life, you just need that to watch joy. And that's what I think of Hallmark movies. So
happy endings.
Yes, right. Yes. Exactly. So tell us, Sarah, what's your favorite love story? Like favorite movie, love story, rom-com? What's your favorite one? I know that must be a hard question because there's so many good ones.
No, my favorite rom-com is While You Were Sleeping. It's with Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman.
Good one. Good one.
That's my absolute favorite. I think it's pretty much perfection. And the dialogue, I can embarrassingly quote it. So it's like a thing with my friends. I would definitely say that is my favorite, and then followed by probably You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle. So
good classics. Classics. If you haven't seen those movies, you need to put them on your to-do list because those are classic love stories. So I really do love rom-coms and whatnot. But so tell us a little bit more about how important it is for creatives and talent to pursue their dreams. I mean, you are a perfect example of someone who did that, and you stepped out of your comfort zone. Tell us the importance of, why do you feel it's important to pursue your dream as a creative?
Yeah, I do believe that we're all creative. And I think that that's something that it actually makes me really sad when people say like, oh, I'm not creative. And I think just as humans, we're supposed to be creating things, and we do create things, whether we're intentional about it or not is something different. But storytelling to me is kind of the currency of living. It is how we relate to each other. It's how we have empathy for each other. It's just all of those things. And so I think when I started, I didn't quite have the confidence to pursue my dreams, if I'm being honest. Like when I was in undergrad, and even why I started a book years ago and didn't finish it, is because I just didn't have the confidence I wanted to, but it was something about it that I just felt like, I don't want to say imposter syndrome, but kind of that feeling of like, can I actually put it out in the world? Am I okay with that? And I think what I've learned and why I think it's so valuable is that creating to me can be healing. It can be a healing process, first for the person who's creating something, and then hopefully for the person who's reading it. I know stories have done that for me. They've met me in some of the hardest moments of my life. And so I think that it's important to not only think about it in terms of what it can do in our own lives, but what it can do for other people. And no matter what it is, I mean, even with storytelling and storyboarding, I've seen that work across, whether it's companies for Fortune 1 in 500 companies, or if it's something that it's like businesses, it's storytelling and storyboarding is a part of everything that we do. So I think the importance of that is huge. And then just in terms of encouraging people to go for their dreams, I think it's realizing that you do need grit and a determination, and that it's always going to be harder than you estimated that it would be, and that creating is costly. And that's the thing that I think is hard for people sometimes to recognize, is that it should cost you something, whether it's your time, your energy, your emotion, and to do the emotional work to go through it. It's very hard, or I think it's kind of unfair to expect readers or viewers or anything like that to experience or capture emotions of things if the writer didn't do it first, if the writer didn't go there first. And so I would just say, like, for the importance wise, there's so much more at stake. It's kind of a ripple effect of when we put something into the world, somebody else responds, and that just keeps going. And so it's having that, but I understand too, like when you're in it, it's very hard to see that. And so it's so important to have community and people who believe and speak into you. And I've had people, when I wasn't writing, just say, I see this in you, and keep going. It's so critical to have those people that we trust. And I think too, it's been realizing, and I say this to other writers, and I have to remind myself that I can't always control the outcome. Mm-hmm. I can't always control, whether or not my books could sell in 6 months. It could be 10 years. I don't know, but I have to enjoy the process, and the process becomes the reward. So the process becomes the thing that I fall in love with, and I see growth in, and I see myself change in. And then from that, it just encourages me to keep going. So I would say, like, in terms of importance of dreams, it's critical. And if you feel a call to it, there's a book called Letters to a Young Poet, and in it talks about how, like, if you feel the call to write, but it could really be anything, if you feel the call to write and you hear it, in the quiet moments, and you answer that and say, I must do it, you have to build your life according to what is, your heart is telling you to do. And I think that's critical too, of where if you really believe in something and you really have a dream in something, it's really shaping your life to kind of match that dream and to tie everything to it. And even something that I've been really determined to do, not that I'm perfect at it, but since I started, was to not complain about it. So even during the publishing process, to not complain when it gets too hard, and to not complain when I don't understand, because these are the things that I had prayed to be doing, months or years ago. So it's like, no, like when I'm in it, no matter what it looks like, to be a person that it's like, no, I'm going to recognize that this is a gift. And if anybody responds to my book, that's a miracle to me. I'm like, because I'm just this humble, like, writer in the corner, just, hunched over like a troll over my computer, just trying to like type furiously and see what happens. And, like with this dream. And so anytime I even have anybody respond to it, it's just, it feels, I feel the weight of that, and it encourages me to keep going and to keep moving. But really, that had to be something that I have peace in, that I can go to bed at night and say, I've given my best to what I feel is in my heart to do.
It's sort of like running a business, because like you have to have passion for your business, and there's not all pleasant things happen. You have walkouts and, chefs quit.
Right. It happens. But I think that you highlighted something and mentioned something that I think is really important that we emphasize. You decided that you're not going to complain anymore. And you decided to change that mindset. Not everything's going to be perfect. Remember, no such thing is perfect, right, Randy? We talk about that all the time.
Loving the process.
Right. Loving the process. And don't complain about it. But you're doing that intentionally. And I think that is so smart of you, because you're creating a healthy space, a healthy work environment, whether it's in your home or at work or one of the beautiful cafes you like to visit since you're a lover. And, you're creating a healthy space. So wherever you go, you're creating that healthy work environment, that healthy space where I'm not going to complain. And you're being very intentional about that. That's very smart. I agree with you. As soon as you said that, I was like, yes, you're my people. You're speaking my language. It's important to be that way.
Grateful for something, or it's you can choose your attitude. Nothing else, right?
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. So true. And we admire that in you. And thank you for highlighting that. So what's happening next? I'm sure you have something exciting you'd like to share with us. So is there another novel on the horizon, a movie, another production you're going to be a part of? What's next? If you can share.
Yeah. So I'm working and outlining on book 3, and then there'll be 4 books in this series. And then I have another series in mind following. So that's kind of what's coming up. Also on Passion Project is I'm going to attempt to write a made for TV movie, because I haven't done that yet. And I'm constantly like, okay, let's keep growing and keep doing all the things to have the tools to be the best writer I can be. So I am currently working on that. And then really it's been a lesson in, I worked so hard and focused so much on writing the books and getting them into the world. And now it's being comfortable promoting them and marketing them, because being an indie author, that's kind of on me to do too. And it's something that I've done for everybody else and not often myself. And so that has been the lesson lately, is learning to grow in that area as well, of like, okay, now that I know that I can do this, how do I do it in such a way that, it's the whole facet of, to Randy's point, the business of doing these things. So that's where I feel like I'm really growing in next. And just to also add to this too, I think just the whole conversation about dreams, just to add to it, is that I think we need to be okay when dreams shift and change, and to learn and to keep an open hand with our dreams. And it doesn't mean that anything's ever wasted. I think that's the thing that I've learned too. But even with writing books or rom-com, I thought I'd be writing fantasy. And this has been the thing that has truly changed me as a person and has opened incredible doors just for me to be encouraged as a writer. And so that's what I'm looking forward to in the future, just continuing to do this. I am so passionate about storytelling and writing. I want to keep supporting writers in any way I can in television and film. I still have a dream to have one of my scripts produced or made one day, and then continue to write.
It will happen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
That for you here on our Pronto podcast.
Thank you so much.
When it does happen, don't forget about Randy and I.
I will not. I will not. I will never forget.
A model too, like after the photo shoot you did.
Oh,
for
yes,
Curry's,
that photo.
Like, yes.
Didn't bring that. Oh my goodness, that photo is fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fire.
Randy did the hair for that one. Yes.
Fire. So listen, you're not only beautiful, but you have a beautiful heart, Sara, and a talent and a skill set that you will continue to achieve your goals. And we are manifesting. All your dreams will continue to come true. Just don't forget about us when you're famous.
Things happen to good people. And
thank you, Randy.
Best.
Yeah, no, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. I love that you took the risk to move out of this area to go to a place where you needed to pursue that big dream. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes the hardest thing to do for most people, to move out of their comfort zone, to move away from your family, your friends. That is the hardest thing to do. And sometimes that is the one step that you need to do to achieve your greatest dream. And you're doing it. Remember that you're doing it.
Thank you.
You are going to continue to climb that ladder of success.
I have a question. How does its typical book take to write?
Yeah, it truly depends on the writer. I have a lot of writer friends who sometimes they can do it, or what else is going on in your life, I should say too. It can be months, it can be years. I had the idea for my first book, I Love You in French, it must have been about 2 years ago now. And then started it in the summer of 1 year, took a break. And then, so I would probably say like that one probably took me 6 to 7 months. My second book, it took me 4 and I was working full time and doing it and still doing all the things that I do with screenwriting and television writers. But I just was so determined to get it out in the world that was something where I just kind of was all in, late nights, early mornings, all the things. That one was super hard for me. It felt much more vulnerable, and surprisingly, or not surprisingly, that one has been the one where I feel like people respond more. But I've learned that I need to keep doing it afraid. And that's the thing, because the fear doesn't go away. I don't think. And so the trick is like to just keep writing even when you're afraid, because otherwise I won't do it, So
yes, that's it. I've heard of that before. Someone has shared that advice with me before. Do it afraid. Because that means you still care. That means you still want it. That means it challenges you, right? I love a good challenge.
I love a good challenge.
Great title of a book, by the way.
Thank you.
But I appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing, those honest moments, those honest moments. Do you visit back on the East Coast at all? Do you ever come back this way and visit?
Yeah, so I'm in New Hampshire now. So I'm in New England now. And then occasionally, like the company I work for too is in Philly sometimes for production. So sometimes I'm back and forth. But yeah, so it's just kind of been everywhere right now.
Oh, that's exciting. So you do travel.
Yes, I do. For filming. Yeah.
I think the greatest job is being an author, right? Like, you don't have to leave your home. The books are based on your ideas. And you're like, that's great.
I guess I don't know. I kind of like leaving my home. She leaves her home. She goes to cafe hopping, which I want to talk about.
Yes.
I think it's really, truly great when you can write your ideas and people want to read them. Like, I think that's wonderful. Do you ever have a writer's block?
That's a great question. I feel like I used to. I think writers get very afraid of this idea of like, oh, I sit at a page and I can't write anything. And I think because I've been even just studying television, film, I've been writing my whole life. I remember being little, writing chapters and all these things like when I was a kid. But it used to be that I would think I had writer's block. And kind of what I've learned is usually when I hit the page and I don't quite have something to say, it's either that I haven't lived enough yet of the idea that I'm trying to write, or there's an emotion I haven't worked through yet, or there's something that I still need to learn. So it doesn't mean that I'm stuck. It just means that there's other things that need to happen first. And so when I've kind of realized that, then it's helped me to shift to other projects and keep creating. And I think also realizing, there's a scarcity mindset that can happen with creativity where you think like, if I put all of myself into this idea, I'm going to have nothing left at the end of it. And then what happens? And I think that fear sometimes blocks us from actually writing or creating or whatever it is. And so I've had to learn that the more that I actually pour out into something, the more creative I become and the more ideas that come. So it's kind of switching that mindset. And since that, in the past few years, I can honestly say that there hasn't been a writer's block. It's more so the understanding that, okay, something needs to shift or something needs to happen, or I can work on something else until it's time for that idea.
Right. And so going back to cafe hopping,
Yes.
I'm assuming that cafe hopping is a part of your secret to your success in being inspired. So that's what I think of, because I'm in the industry of food and hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people connect. Love stories, connections, interactions happen at cafes and coffee shops.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, that's why she loves cafe hopping. To get inspired. I think that's my take on it. Am I going down the right path with this one?
Yeah. No, I've worked in different coffee shops. I've had a deep love for coffee, baking, culinary, like the whole thing. So I'm very invested in all of those things. And actually my books, they're both bakers or chocolatiers, like the main female characters. And so it's like set in a bakery. And so there's all kinds of like things with that. But I agree. I think there are moments and there's spaces for connection. And also I'm more of an introvert unless I really trust you or know you or feel comfortable, mostly. And so it allows me to kind of see stories, to hear them, to get in this space that it's just all the moments of connection. You're exactly right, are kind of happening and unfolding. And I think what it came to realize too, is even when you have these moments in cafes or you see people are having connections, is that even with the romance, it can often come off as like, oh, it's fluff, or it's, like something that's like super, happy ever afters, they don't really happen, like all of those things. And what I've learned is like, no, but we need these moments of hope, and we need these stories and moments of connection that really do happen in real life. We just sometimes miss them. Yes. So I think it allows you a space to kind of be aware of what's happening around you and to recognize the different stories, whether it's, moments of heartache or moments of joy, and to kind of tap into those authentic moments with people that you might not otherwise catch. Yeah.
Right. So Sarah, one of our viewer listeners has chimed in and asked a question. Characters based on real people from
That's such a good question, because I feel like people, that's a question I get often is, are you in these books? And real people, I think there are parts that are definitely real. They've pulled from real truth and emotion. But the characters themselves are not based on real people. They were definitely just ideas that I've had. The first one was I had the opening scene for I Love You in French, and that's where the whole book started from. So I don't know these characters. They're all from my imagination. Yes, in Paris in 2019. And it's just, so no, they're not based on real people, but the emotions that I've seen and captured and held on to through interactions with people or through my own story are very much present.
Very nice.
What do you think about AI? Like, AI is kind of like people are writing books through AI.
Yes.
So,
Oh, Randy. I'm very passionate about this, actually.
Give us the quick version. We don't
want
that this affects your industry tremendously.
I know. Yes, it does. So I'm very passionate about AI not being in the creative process. Mm-hmm. I do believe that it goes back to creativity being costly, and that it should cost you something. And that, the thing about AI, I'm not saying it doesn't have a place or that it doesn't have a role or that it can't help in different industries. But when it comes to the actual creative process and artistic things and writing and production, not that it's not used in spreadsheets, I understand that, but I'm talking about the actual creative process. I really believe that it needs to be kept with human storytelling, that there is an element that we can only feel if it's made by humans. So bots can't feel. And a lot of AI, to be honest, is plagiarism at best in some senses, is where it takes a bunch of things and it's pulling it together from all the writers and all of the artists who have gone before. So it's really this element where I'm like, if it isn't costing you something to create, then I have to ask, is it really creating? So that's kind of where I stand on that. And it's not that I understand like AI can be used to help people in different circumstances, or maybe, if there's different accessibilities. And again, that's not really what I'm referring to. It's more so the creative process coming from a place of like, this is something that has moved me. It has inspired me. And now I need to do the work to create it in such a way that is coming from a person, is coming from a heart.
I appreciate that honesty, Sarah, because I agree with you on that one when it comes to AI. I agree.
Even the creators of AI are scared of AI.
Yes. She said it perfectly. Plagiarism. I went to University of Delaware. I was an English major with a concentration in literary studies. My professors literally beat it in us. Citation. Watch out for plagiarism. Watch out for plagiarism. With AI, where's it coming from? How are you how is that properly cited? It's not.
Right.
I agree with you. I agree with that. Real live human emotions, experiences, should be a part. Yes, you say it perfectly. Clearly, your industry is affected by this tremendously, and I don't mind using assistance to help maybe check something.
Right. Or financial or scheduling. I understand.
Right. Brainstorming. These are different. There's nothing wrong with hiring assistants, right? It's just like hiring a tutor to help you write a paper or help you summarize or help you put your thoughts into words and make sure there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're being replaced by AI, that's a problem.
Right.
It's a big problem because not only is it affecting your livelihood, we can
it's a whole thing. And I say like, I'm not anti-AI, but I am pro-human. So, it's like, I'm not anti-AI, but I am pro the creative process for humans.
I agree with you. And we all experience this in our own industries and our own businesses. And, use it as something to assist, but just be careful. Be careful. Plagiarism, be careful.
Right.
You have to be very mindful of that because people do not realize that where's that coming from? Where is that thought, that sentence, that well thought out written sentence that the computer just spit out at you? Where's it coming from? How are you able to properly cite that? And then so I agree with you. People are not realizing the ramifications of what can happen.
Never cook and deliver an experience.
Nope.
And they can't cut hair.
Nope. AI. Even though technology, again, this is a whole nother podcast, Sarah.
This is the whole thing I'm very passionate about.
Let's go back to the books because we can go how we truly feel about it. But we appreciate your honesty on answering that question.
Have to be honest, yeah.
Another one of our viewer listeners has chimed in with a question. Would you consider yourself sensual? Where does your drive come from? I guess I can reword it a little bit more. So your inspiration, you did touch on that earlier, but just to answer the question from our viewer listeners, let's touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah. I would say like my inspiration for writing rom-coms, I'm guessing that's kind of where this question is based in, is more so in, like I said, they were kind of the books that I felt like I needed. And I think that it can be pretty negative view on just what it means to have human connection or to have real human connection. And in this case, love stories. I think it's very ironic that people are like, oh, love stories, when actually romance is the top seller in books and usually in like genres and different things. And people are looking for connection. It's ultimately looking for connection and looking for love, whether that's romantic or whether it's familial or all of those things. So it really was an opportunity for me to explore and go into deeply flawed characters who have real wounds and real real dreams and real things that they're working through, but also to find the things that I think we're often looking for. Like, for example, the first book that I wrote is really based on kind of that thought that what happens if what you want and what you need are the same thing. And the second one was more of like, okay, what happens when you do make mistakes and yet like you have to be brave enough to accept the other person still loving you through that. And so they're just things that are thoughts really, and they become stories and they become worlds and they become a book of like things to work through. Mm-hmm.
Right. And how can one purchase your book? Where can they go?
Yeah, so they are currently available on Amazon and also Kindle Unlimited if that's something that someone has. I have seen them in barnesandnoble.com and a few other places, Rogue, but that's really where they can go. And then soon I'll be working on getting them also up on my website.
Excellent. Excellent. So for more information and following Sara's journey, just visit all of her social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at author Sara North. I know that we did have it on the screen earlier, and we'll get that back out up there at author Sara North. If you would like to follow Sara's journey yep, there you go. Thank you so much. And then also your website is authorsaranorth.com. But check out Sara's books for if you're interested in purchasing her books and obviously following your journey. But before we end, Randy, we have our traditional ending question.
I can't wait.
I know. She's like, he was very excited about this one. So at the end of all of our podcasts, we always love to end a podcast and asking our guests this traditional question. And here it is. If you had the opportunity or chance to interview anyone on a podcast from the past or present, who would it be and why?
Okay. Well, I can already check doing a podcast with Randy off the list for that one.
Thank you.
Yes, I had to really think about this one because I could think of so many people, but just in the spirit of what we're talking about and kind of going back to what has moved me and meant a lot to me as a storyteller, I am going to say Nora Ephron. Because if you don't know, she did You've Got Mail, When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, like all of those things, but she was also an author. So author and screenwriter and director and all of the things. So if I could interview someone and say, I feel like my books kind of have that cinematic feel to it. And so just very huge inspiration for me and something I've returned to again and again.
Great answer.
I love that.
Yeah, great answer. Sara, thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
And taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come on our Pronto podcast and share your story. Truly inspiring. And again, hats off to you and all of your accomplishments. We wish you the best of luck as you continue to finish the series of your,
Thank
your
you so
books,
much.
but also as you continue to follow your dreams. We're all about, Randy and I always say, dream big, right? The bigger, the better.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Randy.
You were an excellent salon coordinator, but better author.
Better author. Listen,
thank you.
This is only the beginning. Just don't forget about us when you're don't forget about us. But again, Sara, thank you for joining us. And
thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate
it. Thank you, Sara.
Oh, Randy, wonderful, wonderful person.
Our guests are amazing.
Yes, they are. But Sara speaks my language. I love her. We're going to connect, Sara, after this show. I want to definitely meet for coffee. There we go. We're going to meet for coffee because I just love her mindset. I love her thought process, her mindset. And that's important to surround yourself with like-minded people that believe in that type of mindset.
When she was talking about creatives, like I couldn't help but think like, all children are born creative, right? And, through our, relationships with our parents or relatives or friends or school teachers, sometimes, people squash that part of your, existence out. Like, you're a creative until somebody laughs at your painting or somebody laughs at your singing or, it's a shame because when you sit around with small children, they're creating, like they're playing with, blocks and like creating.
Right. And well, it just goes to show that you can't be discouraged by the naysayers.
Yeah.
And if something truly is you're truly passionate about something, whatever it may be, and it brings you joy, follow it. Follow that dream. Think big, big. We're all about dreaming big and following your dreams. And Sara is a testament to dreaming big and stepping out of her comfort zone, moving away from her family and friends to follow and pursue her dreams in a very difficult industry, for that matter. If you don't know that industry, it's a very difficult, very complicated, very high stress industry, and it's cutthroat, and it's all about who you know, and you have to work your way there, and to cancel out the noise, especially as a creative and a screenwriter and an author, she has to cancel out that noise to be able to get her thoughts onto the paper. So I admire her tenacity. I admire her resilience. And I do see that she's going to continue to climb that ladder of success. And she'll be back on our show. Oh yeah, for sure. But Randy, another great show. Another phenomenal guest. And it's just like,
high five.
Oh my gosh, high five. And if you are interested in, make sure you follow our podcast journey here at Pronto. We have had the opportunity and honor to feature so many incredible individuals. This is our 34th episode, our 34th episode, which you're very proud of. But go to prontopodcast.com and check out all of the individuals we have interviewed since day one. Just dynamic people achieving their dreams, inspiration, different backgrounds. We are very, very honored to have a platform to feature all of them. And if you're interested in joining our podcast, contact us. See if you're interested. You can be one of our guests. Just visit prontopodcast.com to be featured as one of our guests in our upcoming shows, or if you're interested in sponsoring. Today's podcast was sponsored by Corello Products. So we're very excited and honored to have our Corello products, our beauty products, to sponsor today's episode of our 34th podcast. If you're interested in sponsoring one of our shows and one of our segments, definitely contact us by visiting prontopodcast.com to be featured or feature your business. We are always looking for dynamic sponsors to be featured. And again, join us, be a part of it. Show us a follow, share.
I had to respond to the viewer that asked, why is Randy so quiet? Right?
Randy, why are you so quiet?
Because I'm, fascinated by people speaking. Like I don't want to interrupt them. I want to hear what they say. You know what I mean? Like, every once in a while I throw something out, but I'm like, I'm watching the show.
And you're a great listener.
Yeah.
You're a great listener. I know. And listen, I know you. I know you at this point. And that's important too, is to be a good listener, not just having the, be talking so much, which is a major component of the podcast, but listening. And I know that when Randy is quiet, he's truly listening because he's inspired. So it's getting to know your hosts, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, again, please, Randy.
I'm impressed with you're really great at leading the show and responding. And I'm kind of like, I just listen.
No, you play a huge role. For those of you who may not see it, Randy plays a huge role. And remember, it takes a village. There's, so many different people, different components that come into creating our Pronto podcast. And it's a great team. Honored to be a part of it, and honored to be by your side. Yeah. So Randy, thank you again. And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, visit prontopodcast.com. Follow us on all social media platforms, as well as podcast platforms. You can listen to past episodes, but again, check us out, and thank you for joining us. Pronto, Randy.
Pronto, Vincenza.